The kids should have an understanding of the game to give them that variety, but also that repetition. The aim of the game is one team is going to attack down the pitch to try and score in one of the 3 goals there. If they win the ball back, the Blues, they get the opportunity to attack and score in either the 5 goals here. Hi, my name is Loz Lok, National Coach Development Lead in the Grassroots Delivery Team. Welcome to your 6-week session plans around marking and intercepting. This is week 6 of your 6-week session programme. Welcome to week 6. This is festival week, where we try and incorporate everything that we've done into a festival approach when working with your players. So the first game that we're going to look at is from week 5, the multi-goal game. So exactly the same game that we've done earlier in the week. So previous weeks, so the kids should have an understanding of the game to give them that variety, but also that repetition. The aim of the game is one team is going to attack down the pitch to try and score in one of the 3 goals there. If they win the ball back, the Blues, they get the opportunity to attack and score in either the 5 goals here. Now, we're still working on that defending 1v1 to mark, but also if the ball goes across, looking at opportunities to intercept the ball. The second game that we're going to look at is from week 2, Rivals. Aim of the game is to create lots of 1v1 situations. Really important for the kids to keep their individual score, so every time they stop their opponent or the player that they're marking or paired up with from scoring, they get a point. So individually, as the game's going on, looking at how they can work on their own, but also collectively as a team to stop others from scoring. So still getting the technical components on. So it could be a 1v1 winning the ball back through their marking, or if the ball's played across and they intercept like we've been working on for the last 6 weeks, they get a point there as well. So the final game that we're going to show is a new game called 5v5 defensive zones. How the game works is lock your areas into 5, but what we want to do is create 5 1v1s where the players are more locked into their zones. Now, how the game works, again, create the 1v1 in here. The aim of the yellows is to try and get the ball into different zones to try and score in the goal. The team out of possession, again, linking back to the areas that we've worked on previously, can they create a 1v1 through marking? Can the player here be in a position to either try and intercept, or if the ball comes across through their zone, be in a position to intercept the ball that way? At the same time, we're also looking at this player being in a position to mark, but also be in a position to receive any short balls to try and get the ball. If they win it, can they play it into their zone to try and score, which links back to the areas that we looked at previously around transitioning from winning the ball back. So some adaptations for this game, you could modify the space. So on here, it's quite even. What you could do is, let's say for example this one, you might make that area a little bit bigger to give them a bit more space to play into. In turn, what you could also do, if you've got one player that's constantly winning, you might swap the players to match them up a little bit more. Another adaptation, like we've done in previous weeks, where we've used zones that have been locked. If this player, for example, plays in here, he or she can travel in here, so it creates a harder task for this defender because they'll have to mark out of possession, and that's where it's an opportunity for this player now to either delay and mark the space to make it harder, to allow his or her teammates to push into space to make it harder for this ball to go into there. That's again another way that you might use a step principle to make the challenge harder for the defenders and allow them to have a challenge that's extra in the game that you might be playing in. So your match day outcomes, again, don't feel that you need to create new ones every week. However, for this week, because we've focused a lot around the 1v1s on the 2 games that we've played here, think about how you can create 1v1 challenges for your players that you're working with. So is it a 1v1 in the game? So even though they're playing someone that they don't know, can they think about how many times they've stopped their opponent from either scoring, passing the ball forward, how many times they've encouraged the other team to play backwards? So that might be something that I might get my players to think about when we get into a game at the weekend.